Hi everyone, I'm here with Flawes, and if you guys could introduce yourselves for our really wonderful audience.
Hi, I'm JC. I'm the singer in Flawes.
I'm Huss. I'm the drummer in Flawes.
And I'm Freddie, and I'm the guitarist. And JC, we were laughing because you froze as you said that.
Frozen again. Stop eating
It's not
pizza.
the most attractive angle, that's all I'm going to say. Great. So you guys were, pardon?
It's his new profile pic. Has he just done the background thing? Freezes at that point.
Amazing.
Sorry on.
You all like played as like session musicians and stuff before you all kind of like met, and Flawes became like amazing thing. So like what music did you guys kind of all grow up listening to? Like did that kind of impact your individual kind of musical style as like session musicians? And then like once you guys all met, how did you kind of blend all of that kind of together as kind of different session musicians into one kind of cohesive unit, so to speak?
Well, yeah, we definitely all grew up listening to very different music, influenced by different things. I grew up listening to a lot of hip hop and a lot of rock music and pop punk, and but for playing the drums and learning to play the drums, that's how I learned, and it definitely influences me now. Guys, do you want to say what influenced you?
For me, I've always really been influenced by like rock and blues guitarists. So like classic people like Jimi Hendrix and a guy called Stevie Ray Vaughan, who was kind of a similar vibe to Hendrix, and then B.B. King. And I think, that's definitely influenced how I play guitar. But I think in a way, sorry, JC, what about you?
My background, I listened to all sorts. I feel like I went through, like growing up, I feel like I went through like phases of like obsessing over certain artists. So like I kind of went on this like discovery. So like I'd discover like The Who and just like obsess over The Who, or I'd discover like the Beatles or whatever, and I basically just like, or discover Queen, or I discover Elton John, or I discover like, and literally just went through, or the Police, or whoever everyone, and that for that month or two I'd be like obsessed, and then I'd move on to the next one. So I feel it's quite eclectic and varied.
Nice.
The fact that we've got such different styles has actually worked well for the writing process, and I don't think we've shied away from those things. Like, JC's piano playing is a big part of the sound, and same for my playing, and Huss's like heavy style, that it all kind of makes the sound what it is.
Meshes together in one like really, really nicely. Amazing. And then obviously like once you guys formed, like everything kind of took off quite quickly, which is always great. But like was there kind of a moment like in your childhood where you were like, this music thing, that's what I'm gonna do, that's what I want to do with my life? And then kind of moving on from that, was there like a moment as things were really starting to pick up quite quickly where you all kind of realized like, oh shit, like this is actually like doing something? And like what was that kind of like for you as a band basically?
Yeah, I mean it's been a long journey. I feel like we've all been we've been in bands before, like I guess like growing up and like through school and stuff. And yeah, it's a crazy journey and a fun journey. And yeah, I guess there's nothing that can ever replace that moment of like, for example, like the first song that we released, like it made like track of the week on like Radio 1, and it was on all these crazy things. Like there's nothing that can like prepare you for those kind of experiences and hearing yourself on those sorts of places and being mentioned in whatever newspapers and magazines and stuff. So yeah, it's all part of
that feeling never goes away either. It never gets old. Like every gig that we play,
so one of those continuous things that just like keeps
the most exciting and like rewarding process, because you're just constantly striving for more and to keep producing and keep writing and keep touring, and like it's very rewarding. And it was definitely for all of us as kids, like I knew that I wanted to be in a band, Didn't know what being in a band meant, but I definitely wanted to be the guy behind the drums on the stage.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember my dad's a musician actually, and I was watching him as a kid, and he plays bass, and I think he probably wanted me to follow in his footsteps. But I remember seeing the lead guitarist like do a solo and watch all the crowd just watch the soloist do that, and I remember thinking, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to be the lead guitarist.
That's why we put so many guitar solos in our songs now.
Yeah,
It's so funny to be that guy. Like,
now my childhood dream.
amazing. And then obviously, like, you guys have kind of been playing since like 2015. Is that right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
obviously that's a fairly long time now that you guys have kind of been playing live shows. So kind of how has your live show kind of evolved? Like, is there anything that you guys have really tried to keep from those like kind of really early days doing like really small shows, like even when you're playing like huge venues, kind of like Kentish Town Forum and stuff like that, and then kind of what do you prefer playing, like bigger venues, smaller venues, all that kind of stuff?
I think for me, like, yeah, our shows have got bigger and the sound has definitely got bigger as we've developed. When Flawes first started, it was a lot more atmospheric and there were a lot more intimate moments. But we started out playing in pretty big venues as well. So playing those, when we supported LRR in 2015, we were playing that ambient music in this big space, and we definitely still have those moments, and we love having those moments. So in the live stream we did last night, there's a song on the EP called "I Don't Quit for No One," and it's this really intimate moment where I come down off the drum kit onto the SPDS, the pads, and we're all there stood next to each other just jamming out, and it's lovely. I think we'll always keep those intimate moments, but then switching it up so then the bigger songs are played properly and loudly.
Have a good old jump around, have a good old,
Yeah, absolutely. Some of JC's dance moves as well. You can't do that to ambient music.
I mean, it'd be interesting if you tried, surely. Like, it would make for an interesting show.
Maybe that's where we're going wrong.
And then you were so kind of obviously like as well, kind of staying on the same vein as like live shows. So you were supposed to be playing some stuff at the end of March and then through April before kind of shit hit the fan, basically. So kind of like, how was that kind of like dealing with just not suddenly being able to go off and do those shows? Was it like really difficult kind of going from super kind of intense tour planning to then suddenly being like, oh God, what do we do with ourselves now? And then obviously that's where like the EP and everything came from. So like, how was like navigating that complete kind of 180 switch from thinking about live stuff to writing and recording? Sorry, excuse my voice.
Yeah, I mean, after we released Highlights last January, we had this like crazy schedule of, you know, South by Southwest and, you know, these festivals and like shows in like Music Expo in LA and European shows and yeah, I guess our initial reaction was, you know, let's write more, let's write music. You know, we've just released a huge album, but the only thing we could do was just write. And I guess the EP Reverie was just like a direct result of that decision. I would say that Reverie wouldn't be a thing if you know, if our touring schedule, you know, wasn't cancelled. I think it's just a direct result of that. So yeah, we just had to keep writing and yeah, really happy with the way everything turned out.
I mean, it's a great EP. I've listened to it. I was watching the live stream last night, and there's some really, really, really sick songs on it. But then obviously, because you guys were like writing and recording like completely separately, all in your own houses. So obviously that's got to be a bit different than kind of all being in a writing room and all being in like the studio together and stuff. So like, was there any kind of like new techniques that you all kind of used? Was it like a fun challenge? Was it less fun of a challenge, but still like a good challenge? Or did all of that kind of stuff, like what was that basically like, just trying to put an EP together, being in completely separate houses all at the same time?
Well, I think we're lucky in that even before lockdown, we were all quite familiar with Logic, which is like a recording software. But it definitely forced us to really up our game and just develop our skills as home producers. So like, yeah, Huss and we all invested in loads of new equipment like microphones, and you can see JC's like little recording booth there.
Home studio in the background.
Yeah. And even just like hitting up producers that we know, asking for tips. That was a thing we all had to do, and lots of YouTube learning. But I think on the whole, it's been great for that reason. Like the demos that we created were so much more developed than the ones we were producing for the first album. So yeah, before we might have needed the help of someone else to get it to that final stage. But now, I think now we're a lot more capable as a three, which is great. Yeah, it's definitely a different experience. I think that there are pros and cons to both ways of working, but we were super productive and we were quite disciplined and had like a proper 9-to-5 routine almost through lockdown.
Nice. I was going to say, I feel like that definitely would have been a good way to kind of spend time in that first lockdown, with so many people were like, what do I do with all of this time that I suddenly have on my hands and I don't know what to do with it apart from go on my daily government sanctioned walk?
Yeah, I think we used it. I feel like as a type of like therapy and as a type of like escape from everything. Like I feel like I was just watching the news like
24/7
all day, every day. Yeah, I was just, and then just came to the conclusion that like I didn't need to watch the news the whole time, and that if I just watched it in the evening, like once, I could get all of the information I needed, and then the rest of the time I could like escape into like literally this room. And yeah, I feel like super fortunate that yeah, I had this room, and we all had the rooms that we could escape to and write during that time.
What about you, Huss? Was it kind of similar vibes?
Shit, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was well, one, I have really understanding neighbours. Being a drummer and having to play constantly and record constantly was, but like they love it. They text me like, "You playing drums today?" But yeah, they were wicked. I think it was definitely a different way of working, and it was a lot more regimented. But as well with that, there's no end to how long you can record for if you're not booked into a studio.
Yeah.
When we recorded Highlights, we were, you've got 8 hours and you've got to get 12 songs recorded, or else you're going to get a big bill the next day. But here we could spend a bit more time in developing those parts a bit more, playing with different sounds, recording in a different way. And yeah, it was a good job we didn't have as strict a time limit, because it took me a while to figure out how to record drums properly.
No, that's good. I was going to say, like, so it definitely kind of just played a role in kind of helping all of that kind of creativity and everything develop that probably wouldn't have developed as easily like in a studio, basically.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it's probably a technique we'll carry on forward, and we'll find like a happy balance between going into a studio and recording at home as well, because we're always writing music, so it just means we can keep producing at that level and then go from there.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool. Can't wait to hear how great all of this like amazing new music will sound if it's being done at home and also in a studio. And then obviously like there's some really cool songs on it, but a load of our audience are kind of been requesting me to ask like what was it like working with Mali, basically? How did that collaboration come about? Like, did you guys know her before? Had you never met her before? Was it all done kind of separately, like from her house with you guys in all of your own houses? And just give us the goss, basically.
Goss. Yeah, I was actually like quite a big fan of Marley's. Like she released a song called Revolution, and it was just an absolute tune. Actually made it on. I put like ever since I was like, I don't know, like 15, I put together like my favorite songs of the year on like a little playlist, and it's like 20 or so songs, and then I'll do it, and then whenever I've got them all on my iTunes, and if I want to listen back to like 2015 or 2012 or whatever, I'll play the songs on that year, and it'll remind me of like what was going on in my life at that time. And yeah, that song Revolution was like on last year's like favorite 20 songs, so I was a fan. So yeah, we just reached out to or our management reached out to her management, and she was up for it. And I think Huss, you'd met her once before at like a party, hadn't you?
Yeah, I'd met her at one of my friends' release parties, and then we realised we both lived like down the road from one another, so we shared a cab home, and obviously knew of her music anyway. So
Yeah.
Sort of loosely stayed in touch. So when her name came up as a suggestion, like we couldn't think of anyone more perfect, and she absolutely nailed it.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
I mean, we already had the song like written, and then but we hadn't like her part written, like her verse, and it was like, yeah, probably the easiest. Like it literally took like 20 minutes, and it was just like done, finished. Just like, okay, that was really easy. It just like
Nice.
flowed really well and like
bad.
got on really well.
Amazing. But I'm just going to chuck in a quick fire round. But we've themed it, so it's quick fire round rider edition.
Okay.
Coca-Cola or Pepsi?
Coca-Cola for me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, Coca-Cola. Plain hummus or flavored hummus?
Plain.
Ooh, what flavor?
Oh, like red pepper, something like that.
Nah, plain for
Plain.
me. Organic plain hummus.
Did you
Nice.
start? Nah, full fat.
Organic is full fat, don't
Yeah,
worry.
organic does.
Homemade.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
We'll cut that bit out. Yeah. Wraps or pita breads with your hummus?
Pitta.
Pizza, yeah.
Yeah. Carrot sticks or olives?
Both.
Both. Nice.
Carrots.
You don't
Carrots because they accompany the
They're
hummus
a
really well. But I
staple
do love
dressing
olives.
room food. That.
Because Huss has only just discovered olives about half a year ago.
Hold on, I've only just discovered I'm not allergic to olives. There's a difference. So now I'm in my honeymoon stage with olives.
I was gonna say,
The
give him
famous-
another 6 months and he'll be sick of them. Like you won't see a single
Yeah.
olive in the dressing room ever again.
I'll overindulge.
And like catering or just ordering a pizza.
Catering.
Catering.
It can
Hey,
be,
it's dangerous though, because you could just overeat.
but also I feel like if you do a tour fueled by pizza, you feel pretty horrendous after day 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beer or cider?
Beer.
Beer. Proper man. Finally, not necessarily a rider themed question, but it is a question that's been doing the Honey Pop rounds recently. Is a hot dog a sandwich or is it not a sandwich? Discuss.
It's hilarious because we get asked this question all the time.
Yeah, my cousin basically hijacks like every live stream we ever do, and he asks that exact question, and I give him a different answer every single time.
What's the answer today? Yes or no?
Today it's a sandwich.
What other
Yeah.
options are there? That's what I'm trying to realise.
Yes
Like,
or
what
no?
else?
Is it a sandwich or is it not a sandwich? I don't know.
I guess it's quite similar to a toad in the hole, you could argue. Just a
Yeah.
cooked toad in the hole.
What? No.
Well, no, because
Let's
you're
not go
putting
into
hold the
that.
Yorkshire pudding. You can't do
Yeah.
house dirty like that.
You can.
How dare you, Fred?
On that note,
It's a sandwich. 100% it's
it
a
is a
sandwich.
sandwich. Glad that that's
Yeah.
been officially cleared up. You heard it here first. Flawes have declared that hot dogs are in fact a sandwich. And on that bombshell, I'm going to have to round this up because we are running out of time. So it's been really nice. You can go and check out Flawes' new EP Reverie right now. There will be like a link in the description below, so you can go and check that out. They played a live stream last night, so you can also go and watch that back. It was really good. Look, there we go.
Hey.
Awesome poster.
Is it backwards? Oh,
Oh,
JC, where's yours? We didn't plan this, by the way.
That's just how in
Right.
sync you guys are. It's great. I love it.
that's hilarious.
Amazing. I actually think I'm going to have to wrap this up, or Warren's probably going to shout at me for running over time.
Warren, be nice.